Hi everyone. Okay, so I'm decided I would do a video for you all on things that you can be mindful of and like to start implementing. My chair is slowly turning around. That's going to be annoying. Things that you can be mindful of to start implementing into your life that are non-physical things. So this is stuff that anyone should really be able to start implementing. So I'm going to stick with my 5 because I seem to love my 5 things. So we got 5 things that you can be implementing. So number 1 is electricity usage. So this might seem obvious and a lot of you might think, yeah, I'm pretty mindful of my electricity, but I want you to second guess that. I want you to really think about it. I watch a lot of people with electricity, just in their homes in general. I silently observe people because I just find it interesting. I'm not judging, I'm just observing. And I notice that a lot of people have things on all the time that are really not necessary. So they might have lights on all throughout the home. They might have a light on in the room next, right next to them that they're not in, or ceiling fans on, or aircon on with the door open. That annoys me the most is when I see people with an air conditioner on and they've got windows and doors open. It makes no sense. Anyway, so I want you to start being mindful. So what we do is we have lamps throughout the home. We turn on the lamp when we're in that room. So if when we're on the computer, we will have a main light on because it's a bit hard to see the computer. It's a bit straining on the eyes. But if I'm in a room and I'm reading or something, I'll just have a lamp on. If I'm just kind of laying there doing a thing and I'm not really working or anything, I'll turn my lamp on. I can journal with that. I can relax with the lamp on. Instead of having a main light on, it's just a lot less electricity used. We also make sure we turn lights off as we leave the room. If I'm in the living room, I don't need the kitchen light on. So I just switch it on as I walk in and I switch it off as I walk out. As we leave the apartment, we do a full check of the entire home, making sure that there's no fans, lights, anything left on. One of our apartments actually had a master switch, which was really cool. And as you left the apartment, you just flicked off the master switch and it turned off all fans and lights, which was really good, just to ensure that you definitely didn't have any on. And then another thing I like to suggest is at the end of the day, you go through and you switch off all your PowerPoints when you're not using them. This is not something I really have got a good habit into doing, but it is something that I try to work on, and it's really good to do. It won't be like the biggest amount of electricity used, but it is still some, and every bit is good to save. Considering we live in an apartment, we don't have any control over where our electricity comes from. So unfortunately, our electricity is far from sustainable. So it is always important to be mindful of how much you're using, but it is especially important for us right now. Number 2 is your water consumption. It blows my mind that people don't be more mindful of their water consumption. We've always been somewhat more mindful, I've found, of compared to other countries, because we basically have droughts every single year here in Australia because it's just so hot here. So we have dual flush toilets where we have a half flush and a full flush in our toilet, so we use less water. In Brisbane, we've gone through a drought some time ago, earlier in the early 2000s, where everyone was put on severe water restrictions and we were only allowed to have 2-minute showers. So a lot of Brisbane people did start implementing some changes like that many years ago, but then as soon as the restrictions went off, it just goes back to normal. Most people do. Or people don't implement any changes until we go on restrictions, which just blows my mind, because if we were more mindful, we wouldn't be in a drought, within reason. But it's really important that we reduce our water waste. So if you're in the shower, are you running the water when it doesn't need to be on? It's a lot easier here in Australia because it's not cold. So I could literally turn the shower off and I wash my hair with the water off. I put it all in my hair and then I turn it back on when I want to rinse my hair. When I'm putting stuff on my body, I turn it off. Or alternatively, I'll be in there with Ryan. When Ryan's washing, like putting stuff in his hair, I'm under the water washing mine out, you know, and then we swap, and I put it in my hair and he's doing his thing under the water. So in that way, there's always someone using the water, and so we kind of still half our time in that way because we're kind of just swapping. And the other thing is to be mindful of what you're doing in the shower. So years ago, I used to brush my teeth in there. I used to wash my face in there, shave in the shower and everything, and the water would just be going. And it's such a waste of water. It really is. I want you to start being mindful of, okay, what can I be doing outside the shower? What can I do over the basin? It might be slightly inconvenient, but so is climate change. Except it's extremely inconvenient. And you get used to it. It just becomes normal. You know, are you running taps when you're brushing your teeth, washing your face, you know, doing the dishes? Are you leaving the tap running? Just be mindful of that kind of stuff. You know, are you overwatering grass when it's unnecessary? Overwatering plants, like all that kind of stuff. Number 3 is food waste. So we all know about food waste. We all know, oh, reduce your food waste. I don't know why the camera looks like it's so like on an angle. Anyway, it's not on an angle, but it looks like it. But food waste, we all know about food waste. We all know we should be reducing how much food we're wasting, but are we really doing it to the best of our ability? Are we really being mindful? I see people throw food out. Like I'll have people, I'll be over at people's places and they'll say, do you want this? And I'll be like, oh no, thank you. And they'll chuck it in the bin. And I'm like I've watched people do it and I'm like, put it in a container, eat it later, eat it for a snack. Like, I don't know, just don't waste it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe I came from a family where we were really mindful of wasting food because we didn't have much money. So it's always been something I haven't really gotten. In saying that, I'm not perfect. I still waste food, but maybe I'm just a little bit more mindful. But start looking at ways that you can start being better at managing your food and what you're using and what's being thrown out. So for some people that is completely planning their entire meal. You know, they want their entire week planned. They want to know to the T what they're making every meal, and that works for them. That don't work for me. I end up buying things and then on that day I'm like, you know what? I don't feel like making that. And then I just don't make it because I'm like, well, that's all the ingredients I bought and I only have ingredients for this and I don't want to make that. So I might get takeout or make something else. I don't know. That just doesn't work for me. I need to have some kind of freedom with what I'm making and it needs to be simple for me. Simple is key. If I get to the end of the week and I've got food left over, I will look and see, okay, can I make something in bulk from this and can I freeze it? You know, once a month, we haven't done this in a while, but we really should start doing this again. Once a month, we would have an entire week where we wouldn't go and get any produce, any food whatsoever, and we had to only use what was in our cupboard. And we came up with, you know, sometimes quite interesting in a good way and maybe interesting in a not so good way, but we used up what we had, and sometimes we came up with meals that we wouldn't have thought to make, and it doesn't mean they're not nice. So it's always good to really kind of get through your fridge and your cupboard and try and get through those things that maybe you might not normally get through. Number four is one that annoys me the most, and I'm not annoyed at the people doing it, I'm annoyed at the companies. And this is the products we use that are getting sprayed into our airs, but also more specifically down our drains into our waterways. There is a term called greenwashing. You've probably heard of it. Greenwashing, basically, not the correct proper term, but basically greenwashing is when someone will specifically say things or word things in a way to sound like they are more green than what they really are. I am not going to name any names. I'm not that kind of person, but there are a ton of brands. A ton. Just because something says green, biodegradable, compostable, green water safe, eco-friendly, vegan, you know, all that kind of stuff, that doesn't mean it's actually environmentally friendly. It's really unfortunate. Like you could pick up a bottle that has all those things on there, all those labels and all those things on there, and you would look at it and you think, wow, this is a great product. They're really mindful of their impact. They don't test on animals. They're vegan, they're green, it's all biodegradable, compostable. It's just 9.9 times out of 10, it's not. So it's really, it's unfortunate. People are being led to believe they're making more sustainable changes, and they're paying extra money for it, and it's not true. So I want you to start being mindful of what you're using. Think about it. Every single thing you wash down the drain, every time you wash your hair, every time you wash your body, your face, your dishes, your clothes, those products, those chemicals and additions and everything in those products are going into the waterways, down the drains, into the waterways, and our animals are living in it, our animals are consuming it, you know, they're going into, you know, our trees are absorbing it, our whole environment is being affected by that, including ourselves. And I've had people say, oh, but when it goes to the water treatment facilities, they take the bad stuff out. Where do you think it goes? Where does the bad stuff, they filter it, so where does the bad stuff go? It has to go somewhere. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't just go. It has to go somewhere. So think about that. That's a really big one. For a lot of people, when I say that, they're kind of like, what? Yeah, so please be more mindful. Really, 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 if you don't want to DIY, really look at your products. If they're not telling you what ingredients are in it, if there's no label, you know, if it's really plastering all that stuff on there, I want you to be looking at it, really looking at it and going, what's in this? Not all products are bad, but most are, and most are lying to you that say they're good. So you really have to do your research, or DIY. It is so easy to DIY. I don't DIY everything, but most things I do, and it's really easy. So go give Tash at Botanical Blend Co a follow if you are interested in DIYing. She is like DIY queen. Yes, I have DIYs I'll be sharing, but Tash already has so much on there. So go check it out. And then number 5. So number 5 is a bit of an interesting one. It's not really like a thing. Well, it is a thing to do. I want you to learn to use the word no. I want you to get used to saying no thanks. No thank you, I don't want that. No thank you, I don't need that. No thank you, I have my own. No thank you, I'm trying to be more mindful of my impact. How about we do this instead? You know, so someone offers you a straw and you say, no thanks. Someone says, hey, can we go, you know, a friend wants to go do some really unsustainable activity, and you say, no thank you, I'm really trying to reduce my impact, but you know what, why don't we do this instead? Offer an alternative. I think it's really key that we start learning to say no. We have the power, and the more that we say, no thanks, I don't want that, the less it's going to be around, the less it's going to happen. I had a lady to me the other day say, why doesn't Coles just have a better plastic option that just breaks down? And I said, well, why do we need it? And she was like, oh, but you know, they're going to put something there and people are going to use it, so they need to have a better option. And I'm like, but not if we say no. If we say, no thanks, Coles, no thanks, Woolworths, no thanks, Trader Joe's, I don't know, we don't want a plastic bag, you know, to put our produce in. No thanks, I don't want a disposable cup. No thanks, I don't want this. They'll stop giving it to us, because if we don't buy it, they're not going to make it, because no one's buying it. It's just, it really is quite that simple. And it blows my mind, and it infuriates me when people say, oh, but people are just going to buy it anyway, so I might as well just get it. Oh, people are just going to get it anyway. It's like, of course they're going to make it if you're still buying it, you know, like, or they're just going to make it anyway, so we might as well buy it. It's like, they won't make it if we don't buy it. Like, they'll stop doing it. It just blows my mind. Anyway, I hope in some way this helped you. It's hard to come up with tips and swaps and suggestions and advice that people haven't done before. I kind of feel like I'm just telling you stuff you already know, but people want me to make this stuff, so here you go. So I hope it helped in some way. Have a good day, and